So I have Frances with me today, and we were feeling that the topic for today was going to be around friendship and relationship. So thank you so much again for joining me, Frances.
Thank you for having me, Colin.
So the first thing that comes to mind is actually it feels like I just want to throw out something like, in the Course in Miracles, Jesus, it's like he talks to us on different levels, and he also says that in truth there are no different levels, but it's like there is a message at times that is delivered on different levels, and I guess I just wanted to sort of start off by saying, from the world's perspective, it's almost like it's so easy to feel justified in shutting ourselves down or closing our hearts, because on this level of form, it seems as though everything that we value, everything that we love, leaves us. Whether they die or like relationships, the one we love, we divorce or whatever it might be. And I understand that when Jesus says that, it's not true that anything can really leave us, that he's talking on a whole different level. But I guess I just wanted to throw that out to start things off, that how easy it can be, even to sort of, from the world's perspective, to buy into the idea that it's almost like there's this justification in let's not love too much because it's actually going to hurt us. If we really, really love someone, you're only going to lose them anyway, so let's just keep a little bit of a guard around our heart. So could you just comment on that to start with, Frances? Any thoughts, just to sort of really bring that idea to the light? Yeah, thanks.
Okay. Yeah, I think, in my experience, I had experienced many times that seemingly the person that I loved or the things that I loved, in experience it seems like they drifted away or I drifted away, and it's kind of a disappointing experience. But what was assumed at that point was that they are the source of love, or they are the source of happiness and joy. And that's where the disappointment comes from, is that when the source of love and the source of joy leaves, then love and joy actually also dies with the departure of the form, and that's why there is this kind of devastation with this form that is not consistent or is not constant. But the truth is, the spirit is actually the source of the joy and love. And when we say yes to that, and when we say yes to open our heart up, and to welcome whatever that is presented, that's really the experience. We feel like we merged with the truth, and we merged with that source, and we merged with the love and the joy. And a lot of the times, at this level of form, what I have experienced is that everyone that comes my way, or into the awareness, is actually bring a gift to me to claim. And a lot of the times, there will be a point that the lesson is maximized, or the gift is claimed, and it requires me to move forward, moving forward to what is present in the moment. And in that way, some of the form that used to be constant or more consistent started to come in and out a little bit, and not really be the central focus in certain period of time. I really have to go with this source, or this thing that is behind the form, that in another way, like whatever that is presented in front of me is presenting me with a gift, and I really have to have the willingness to claim the gift and to open my heart to what is right here and right now. And if I trust that this is the source of the joy and happiness, and I can truly open my mind to it, then in a way there is a consistency to this happiness and joy, and the form can easily be seen as only an effect. It's not a cause of anything, and people can shift and situations can shift, but that becomes a cloud, just passing by. And yet the true gift and the true happiness is consistent and is at the background, So that's, I guess that's what Jesus really wants us to see, that we can never lose the ones that we love, because the ones that we love is always at the background, is always, the source. It's not really the appearance, it's not really the figures on the screen.
I just have a question coming in, which really just flows on. It has to do with the idea of like missing someone. Again, I feel that it's almost like, I feel like there's a message almost in the world throughout, our families, and this idea that, if a family member seems to pass away, that you're supposed to miss someone, or if your husband or your wife dies, there's supposed to be a missing, a period of mourning, a lot, this kind of thing. And I'd love to hear, I just want to share briefly an experience I had last year in Hawaii. It started, there were a couple of dear friends of mine, especially Thomas, and then with Nikita, I noticed my mind, Frances, I noticed that it was like leading up to their seeming departure from Hawaii, I was absolutely certain that I was going to miss them so much, and I was absolutely shocked when they left, and it was like everything continued as normal. There was not anything, and I'd love to hear from, because I guess one of the reasons this excites me really is that I didn't ever do anything directly related to trying to wash that idea away. You know what I mean? Like it seemed to just literally be healed of itself. And I was wondering if you could speak a bit from your own experience around that kind of idea, and how that sometimes it feels like so much gets healed simply by us putting ourselves into a purposeful function, and that these ideas that have been long-held ideas in the world, they're just seen for being lies, do you feel to make any comment about that, Frances?
Yeah, I can. I think, I have experience of missing someone, and I think the last time I actually experienced it, this missing feeling, it was actually really painful. What I missed was the good time that I had with a particular person, or who is not really given to be in my life right now, and thinking, even just the thinking back of the good times and thinking about the person actually brought up a lot of sadness or pain, that so much so that I actually felt that I don't want to put the direction of the thinking that way, because I feel like it isn't really the content that feels saddening or hurting, because all the content was happy memories, even though they were like really happy memories. Just because it is nothing but a memory, it is not really anything that is present. Is that the direction of thinking of going back and digging a memory and put that in the present moment and saying that means something, that in and of itself creates a lot of pain, actually. And just knowing that, it is really the direction of the thinking, anything that really brings me out of the present moment feels like death and feels like pain and suffering. So I think that is actually the last time I put my mind in that direction, and also, just with loved ones and friends and family members, it's like the reason that we miss them, and it's actually out of this kind of a relationship box that we tell ourselves that there is a certain tie or a certain way that we relate to these people. They're closer to us and they means more to us. But in actual fact, when we put all our attention more and more to what is present, the experience is, right now for me, there are a lot of people that show up in the present moment, and they all have a gift for me to claim right now. It's really for me to see what they are, and a lot of them are helping me to outgrow older concepts or older definitions, and just to be in an experience of this vastness and this deep connectedness. And it's really amazing. But if I choose to put my mind into thinking about what happened to me in the past and how beautiful they were, I really cannot put my focus to the present gift and to the present relationship or the present collaboration, which is happening now for no other reason except that it is time for me to go through that right now, because the mind is ready and it deserves my full attention, and it deserves my full devotion to what is right here and right now. It's almost like a movie, like the whole movie, a 2-hour movie, is a full story, or is a complete script. But every minute of it, you can't have all the characters and all the storylines that's showing up on the screen at the same time. So in different moments, there are different focuses, but it doesn't mean that other storylines or other people are less important. It's just that this moment, this is right in front of me, and there's things for me to see, there are things for me to experience, there are miracles for me to extend, and it's very, very important to the awakening. And the next moment, other characters will show up. People not really in my life right now, it never really means that I lost them forever. There was an ending to what we had. It's more like something, needs my attention right now, and I need to be really present and have this willingness to open my mind up to allow everything that wants to come to my awareness to be there, and to give the equal love and willingness to be collaborating and having encounters with anyone. Yeah, maybe those characters in the past will show up in the next moment, and maybe they won't, but it doesn't really mean anything. And even the people who are right now in my awareness that has been here for a while, they're not more special or less special than any others. It's all about, can we be open and just put all our attention to the present.
What's coming to mind now is like the theme of, like true friendship, true relationship, and I feel like I just want to share a parable that involves an experience I had with you, which it just was so powerful for me. And it was when we were in Australia last time, and I'm not sure I can speak. The way it played out was, what it looked in form, like me just raging at you, like really strongly, and it was a particular night, and I remember going off to my van that I was staying in, and feeling still really wound up, and the next morning, and maybe later that night, and the next morning, just feeling so racked with guilt and so convinced that I'd done something so horrible, and the way that things were orchestrated the next morning, you and I were the only two in the house at the particular time, and I just looked at you, and all these tears came out of me, and I just kept saying, what these things that I said, and I remember you said, don't hold yourself to that. And it really wasn't just your words. It was so felt that you had completely forgiven me. There was not even no doubt in my mind, and it just feels like it ties in with this idea of friendship. What is friendship? And I just know for myself the way that I've gone about friendships in the past, there's been so much sort of messiness and specialness and reciprocity, and I feel that on this occasion and on others, you demonstrated something to me that was actually a quality of something that was truly a true friend. It's like you completely pressed the reset button, and there was no holding on to anything that I may or may not have done from the past, and it was fresh. And it wasn't even that we even talked about it. It was felt. And could you, now I'm not necessarily asking you to go into that example because it's probably not, but just around the theme of of forgiveness, of extending that to our brothers, and I'm wondering even if, because my feeling a little bit is that you've probably been on the receiving end of that same thing from some of your mighty friends, David and JP and some. So if there's anything that comes to you, maybe a powerful parable, because I get the feeling that that's almost how this whole thing is working. There's almost like this chain almost of forgiveness that's occurring with all of us, that when we experience something powerful like that, we have these opportunities to pass it on to others. And so I want to say thank you to start with, but also anything that you have to share around that, Frances, would be great.
I can maybe start by saying that in my experience, maybe in that particular situation or in every other situation as well, I feel it's more like there's a certain period of time that Spirit want me to put my attention to some relationships and collaborations and projects, and it feels like I want to give all my attention and love to that, and not more and not less. Like, I don't want to add on to what is not really guided in the moment, or not given, because we use that word a lot, given, like meaning we don't try to make anything happen or push anything to happen, but more like in a fully allowing mode, and allow things to present themselves. So when people have maybe going through some healing, and I'm the object of the grievance or of the projection, and they would like to share with me, I know that underneath all this sharing, there is a calling for release. Like, nobody really wants to hold other people, in truth, to be the object of their grievance, because they don't want to be in grievance and in pain. So really, when they have the courage even to share, what is really going on is they just so want to release and want to have peace, and want to go through this letting go and release process. And sometimes, I can't control how the sharing looks, and I just feel like for myself, I want to give myself the permission to allow whatever come out, and not really restrict myself when there is a huge charge and a huge emotion underneath it. The most important thing is actually allow that to flow out in a way that's most helpful. And in that situation, it really needs the other person to be in the position to hold the space, so that I can feel the trust, and I can feel that I'm doing this without a serious consequence, and I allow myself to do it, and I know the other person gives me the allowance and won't hold me to it, and that is everything. That is everything for me. And so in that way, I just feel like that's the thing that I can extend to my brothers. And if there seems to be this projection going on towards me, and they are willing to share with me, then I really need to be holding the presence and holding the space, so that they can release it. And another thing is also to see that really, like, nobody has any opinion or any thoughts about you. It's only your own thoughts, that's reflected back. So in that way, it's a huge gift. If there is anything that's hidden that I can't even see, and the other person is playing this role to present it to me so that it's not hidden anymore. And how do I know whether it's in my mind or not? I will feel whether I have a charge listening to it or not. If it really hit me, someone sharing a thought about me, and it really hits me, then I know that it's not, it's not about the other person. It's really something I was holding in my own mind about myself. It's the limitation that I was putting on myself, and it's just been presented. And if I'm willing to look at it without creating a story, without running away from it, then that is done. That is released. That is a huge gift. And if I'm not touched by it or hit by it at all, then I can honestly feel it's not really in my awareness. And if that's true in experience, I won't have any I won't feel any reaction or charge at all. It's really just like an empty space for the force to be seen as force. Private thoughts are not true. They're false beliefs and they're false thoughts, and so when they come out, they're just coming out to be seen as nothingness. So they're either a huge gift or they're just to be seen as nothingness and to be released. And I also know, like, we do encourage sharing private thoughts, and I know from my personal experience, if I share attack thoughts to another person, it never feels good to me. And from that experience, I know that it's the same for anyone else, but they're just like, in certain circumstances, the attack thoughts were seen as reality, and there's no way they can see through that or pass through that except through releasing it and sharing it as if it is true. And I know that nobody truly feels good when they attack the other person, just because in essence they're attacking themselves. So it just doesn't feel good. And I don't really feel like anyone else needs to do anything. Like, we all learn from our experience, and when we give ourselves permission to voice the attack thoughts and have an experience to know that, wow, it just never really feel good. Actually, I want to release this instead of holding on to this. And I do not want to extend attack thoughts. I want to extend loving thoughts. And I think that is, I just trust that is the experience with everybody. So in that way, that's, I guess that just makes it easy for, for me, and I guess for other people here that I witness, that we don't hold anything with anyone, just knowing it is a very essential healing process, and it says nothing about anyone. And even the attack thoughts, no matter how harsh they sound like, they don't belong to the people who release them. It's just a filtered or twisted ego perspective, and that just needs to be brought to the light. So in that way, like, everything can be seen in a very innocent way, and that is just a very fast track for forgiveness with each other, I guess.
The idea in the Course in Miracles, when I think Jesus says something like, from the Spirit's perspective, he sees everything as either love, like someone's offering love, or they're simply offering a call for love. And like, that is so simple, that idea, and so, in a way, it's so practical. Just get in touch with what the question is. Could you just talk around that idea? Is there anything coming to you around that? Because it almost feels like if that idea is held in awareness, it's like any desire to hold a grievance can fall away. It's like, oh, that's right, my brother is simply calling for love, and how am I going to respond? Like, how will I respond to my brother here? Could you Does anything come through around that idea, Frances?
Yeah, I think this idea that our brother is either calling to express love or calling for love, and either way the answer is love, and it's a beautiful idea, and it's true. In my process of walking through this healing process, the most important thing though is actually to allow myself to express, because what is difficult is when we hear other people going through the healing, and when they have projection onto this self character, like onto me, for example, and if I have never given myself the permission to voice any projections or attack thoughts, then other people, when they project onto me, it's very difficult for me to release that. If I have never even given myself the benefit or the allowance to express or to voice attack thoughts, there's still just so much that's held in my own mind. And so there will be a lot of reflection back, just as what I said before, like nobody really are thinking of you anyway, except they're just reflecting back your own attack thoughts and limitation that you hold in your own mind, really. So if I don't give myself permission to release them, and I choose to hide them and avoid looking at them, then they will be reflected back from other people. And at that point, it really calls for this willingness to look at them straight on and to admit with this honesty that, okay, I believe in this. I believe what they said about me is true. And what I found difficult to face is actually my own belief and my own attack thoughts. It's not theirs. If I have this honesty, then, when they actually reflect back, this is a beautiful opportunity for healing. So either way, if I give myself a lot of permission when thoughts moving through, and held as truth, I'm willing to give myself permission to express them and release them. Or when other people do that, I own this responsibility that it's a reflection of my own mind. Then it's very easy. It's not very hard to release the other person from the picture completely. It's just seem that they're just a messenger, bring a message to me. They're not really my enemy or someone that I need to be avoiding, or anyone that is threatening. So that makes it easy. It's just the willingness for me to look into my mind and be honest with myself.
So I wanted just to clarify a couple of things you just said then. That I was hearing you say how important it has been for you, and I feel like you're basically saying it is important, like on this journey, if you like, to awakening, to give ourselves permission to express when there's reactions, when there's projections, when there's deep emotions, intense emotions coming up. It feels really important to give ourselves permission to do that. I just wanted to ask you, in regard to that, something that you said, I think, much earlier in the talk today was that you mentioned about it feels important as well in that expression that it's with someone, that there's some discernment about who that one is with. Would you say that? Like, in other words, like there's almost like listening to guidance around the importance of actually expressing when there's an inner knowing that you're going to say this to one who is able to hold that space and who isn't going to go into reaction. So in other words, I guess what I'm saying is that, if someone was listening to that and they think they're going to, someone yells at them and they're just going to yell back, and it's like it ends up just deteriorating into just this kind of like slanging match.
Yeah.
Yeah, so could you just maybe say a little bit more around that? That would be great.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess for me, I feel like I need to express to someone I feel safe. For one that I want to not hold back, so I don't want to express to someone that I feel I need to express correctly. If I feel that way, I know that unconsciously I will start to arrange how I'm gonna express, and I'm gonna hold back certain aspect of it and try to express in a way that is whatever it could be more spiritually or more correctly or more self-righteously, But the whole point of expressing is to release the force, is not to protect an image. So I don't really want to express to people that I know I will hold back. So in that way, a deep trust relationship is what I'm looking at. But a lot of the time, it's not really the person, Frances, consciously decide who to express. I will give it over to the Spirit and ask the Spirit to send me the ones that would truly help. And I would pray a lot of the times before I go to certain people to express. I would say that, please send the ones to me, and if I have someone in mind, please show me whether they are the ones that's given. And a lot of the times it's very obvious. I have certain people on my mind, and I go to express to them, and they're either on the call, or they're not present, or they're just having other important functions in that very moment, and I know they're not really sent by the Spirit, because if it is sent by the Spirit, then there is always a ease and flow. And sometimes certain ones that quite unexpected from me will knock on my door and just ask, what's going on with you? Is there anything you want to share with me? And I just know that, okay, this is an invitation from the Spirit. So that's, I guess, my way of knowing that who are the ones that I can express, and the Spirit will come through.
Question around it's almost like a how to express, question. Could you just talk around, is it important to have a certain attitude when it comes to actually expressing these kind of, let's say, these heavy, dark, what seems like intense kind of things, is that something you've thought about much, in terms of, an attitude? In other words, Jesus talks about one of the characteristics of, a teacher of God is having an open mind, and I just get this feeling that there's an importance in terms of having an attitude or an openness even. In the mind, that even in the midst of maybe even rage, I don't know, that there's this almost like this little sliver of an opening that somewhere I'm actually handing this over. I actually even want to be wrong somewhere, because it's disturbing me. It's not like there's an expression, it doesn't feel like it's helpful to express from an attitude of almost like trying to perpetuate something, and sometimes it can be subtle. But could you talk around that? Because I'd love to hear your thoughts about it.
I went through stages. When I was going through the healing process quite intensely, and I was going through a lot of blocks, which means that they're all coming up in the awareness to be seen. And I was walking through those different blocks and maybe periods of darkness, and there are a lot of emotion and charges underneath different thoughts and beliefs. I really wanted to get in touch with those emotions, and I guess that's the purpose of partly the purpose of expressing is really so that we're through the stories and the specifics we can actually dive into the emotion and the belief underneath. So I actually normally like to express starting from the very specifics that seems to be the surface triggers. If I truly believe, or seemingly there is a very close correlation in my mind, something happened that caused these intense emotions or grievance to come up, I really like to express from these surface specifics. But the purpose of it is always to go deeper. And there are certain people that I express to, I really like when they hold the presence and giving me a lot of space and not really interact with me so much, like just give me the space and in this silence and allow me to just dump the story. And I noticed that for myself, always in those silent moments after I just let everything out without censoring them, and when there's like this gap of silence without any comments, without any judgment, without any agreement or disagreement with my story, I feel my mind always open up in that moment. And gradually I started to want to hear a different perspective, or want to see a different perspective of the stories that I just told. And I feel like it always happens in those really precious moments of silence and gap, and in this space where there is no judgments or no agreement to me. I guess I don't really feel like it's really helpful when people start to correct me immediately either. Like if I tell a story and people comes in straight away with metaphysics, or like just saying there's something wrong, like experientially, I don't feel there's the most helpful. Either they agree with me or disagree with me. The most helpful is this gap of silence, and something happens in that silence. The story actually drops by itself in that silence, and either a clear perspective that is new and fresh comes in, or this great desire and willingness to let it go or see something differently arises in those silent moments. And I would sometimes ask the person after those silence and ask whether they can offer me any perspective that is different. It doesn't really matter whether they're true, just sometimes a different perspective helps me to drop my own story, and just to know that there is a different way to look at this. That's the most helpful in my own experience.
One of the themes in your last couple of responses it feels like there's been like an important aspect, if you like, of this expressing or releasing has been having a what seems like a mighty companion, someone there to hold the space. And so it's just a thought just popped in my mind of like, someone says, but I don't have anyone like that. What comes to you to what's your response when if someone's like, but that's fine for you, but I don't have what to say.
Yeah, I want to say that don't believe those thoughts. Don't allow those thoughts to become a block or reason to think that you have less, and healing or everything you need for healing is not given to you in this moment. Just trust that if it is time for you to go through certain steps, and the Spirit will provide the means for the guidance. The Spirit wants to guide you to go through a certain process. The means for the guidance will be given you, and the people will show up. The people will be there, and there will be invitation. If it isn't in your awareness now, and just trust and be patient and really focus on what is present instead of keep focusing on what isn't present and thinking that what isn't present is the crucial missing part for healing or for anything else. Just really pay attention to what is already there, and whether that is seen as a gift. Yeah, I guess that's just a very common way that ego wants to use to say that other people can do it, but I can't because I don't have what they have. And it's only for those special few ones. Even like in terms of divine providence, I remember when before I joined the community, I was saying to my mom that I want to live in divine providence, and she said, "Oh, David can do it because this and this, and nobody else can do it. You can't do it. You're different." And I can't remember at that point what she said exactly, but it's almost like, yeah, other people can do it, but you can't. But if I believed it, I mean, these days I start to hear other people say the same to me, say, yeah, you can do it, but I can't. It's just, just don't see it as a reality. It's just a thought. It doesn't have any reality. And also, I think it ties back to our topic, friendship. Friendship implies a time concept, almost like a continuous way of relating to a specific person. But to be honest, it isn't really like we're letting go, or we don't have friendship, we don't have those close relationship or connection or people around us anymore. But it's this concept, this way of relating to a specific person that's been outgrown, because everybody that comes your way in this very moment can be sent by the Spirit, and can be sent by the Spirit for you alone, for you particularly, for healing. If you trust that and allow the mind and the heart to be open, everybody who are in your awareness right now is actually equal, in a way that it doesn't mean that they're going to behave the same way, or you're going to relate to everyone the same way. But if there is an equal trust in everyone that's here, everybody could be used by the Spirit for you to open your heart. Can be for you to share with them, or they bring some kind of miracles for you, or for you to teach what you need to learn. So that is the collaboration with the Spirit, and that's the source of any relationship.
So the theme of friendship and broadening that to include just relationships in general. And you mentioned a little bit earlier there your mother, and just the idea of family and those friendships, those relationships. I'd like you to talk a little bit about family in regard to almost like this idea of like true connecting. And I think just what you said just at the end was really touching on that, the idea of relating to people on the timeline. But it just feels like family is something that I know for me, and I feel for just about everyone, it feels like there's so many like hooks and guilt and senses of obligation, and that, okay, there might be a certain way I'll speak to this person, but, well, there's no way I would say this to, my mother, or, like it's almost like this, that mask or something seems to be held a little tighter towards these seeming special family members. And even in terms of just something as simple as feeling some kind of obligation around attending or phoning a family member on a birthday, those kind of things. I was wondering if you could just share around anything that comes into your mind that feels inspiring in terms of how that has been just washed and healed for you, and anything that feels like it would be helpful to share, Frances.
Yeah, I think I actually walked through this process of holding back certain aspects of myself from my family, like my mother, and to this point where I actually don't really contact her that often, and yet at the same time there is very little that I hold back from her. She actually, in the past we seem to have more physical interactions. We see each other, and we probably will live with each other for a certain period of time, have telephone contact very often, and yet she probably didn't really know so much about my passion and my inspiration and my difficulties and deep fear, and the purpose of my life. That's not the aspect that I would share with her, probably because just not something that's normally I feel inspires her, or I probably don't like the reaction that comes my way after I share those kind of topic. But actually I feel like the whole healing process for me in the last few years is a heart opening. It's an opening up experience, just really opening myself up and allow myself to be transparent and like an open book. And of course there are like reactions in different forms and coming back, but it's I learned and I really experienced is truly my own attack thoughts or fear of seeing certain aspect of myself that just been reflected back from other people, and the fear of their reaction is actually the fear of looking at those. And when that's been walked through, it actually feels very easy to share whatever with whoever. And so right now my mom, she's the same as anyone else to me, in that I will talk to her about what I'm truly inspired by, and if she does not want to talk about it, I will tell her very directly. I will say, I do not want to talk about what I wear every day or what I eat every day. So that's just I don't want to talk about it. And it's actually very easy. I can say it without any anger or any charge, just very matter of fact. And then she will ask me, so what do you want to talk about? And so we will, if we can, get into certain topics that both of us are interested in. And she is watching my show, so in that way she actually knows every aspect of me now, what I've been going through and what is inspiring me in the moment, and who are my mighty companions and what brought us together. And also she invited me recently to say that I really want to invite you to come visit me. And to me, it's like the same kind of invitation that I would receive from anyone else. I would love, or I feel inspired to travel anywhere if there is a spark and there is a spirit. So I said I definitely will consider the invitation, but I think what is my spark or passion is to be able to share my healing, or to be able to share the truth, And she said to me that I would invite you to be my teacher. And so we just laughed, because to me that is a kind of invitation that is no different than any other invitation. I don't say yes because I need to feel the spirit is behind it before I say yes. So I just said I will consider it as any other invitation, So in that way, it isn't like excluding the family members, even though it probably looks like a little bit at the beginning, like put my attention more into the the healing around the Mighty Companions, but right now at this point it's actually a total inclusiveness, and my mom is included in my healing, and she's seen as the same as anyone else.
Yeah, I can really feel that, and it feels like it's that's been created, if you like, or allowed because of your directness and your unwillingness to compromise. That it's like I don't know, just sort of seeing how that's helped her to be really clear. Okay, she wants to have she really, really wants to connect or whatever. Then she knows where she stands.
Yeah.
It's like it's just so simple.
Yeah, and I think I truly believe that what she wants is the same thing I want. Like, she does not want a codependent relationship that is built on roles. Like, she's playing the mother role, I'm playing the daughter role. She may think that's what she wants, but she wants the love of God. That is just clear to me. And because we want the truth, and I really believe that, so it's not difficult, whatever I deliver, or whatever I'm into, I trust that she genuinely wants the same.
Yeah. It might be a question to wrap things up on. There's a thought in my mind, just to, again, come back to that. I think the initial question we had was, what is true friendship, true relationship? And could we say that, like, in this world, there's no such thing, like, another body, even as another seeming friend, like, there's nothing that's true or lasting. I mean, it definitely feels that there's helpfulness and there's stepping stones, but can we make that leap, and can we say, let's stop looking for things like friendship here, that what I'm hearing you speak of is a true friend, which is the one friend, the spirit, that is kind of in everything and everyone. Could you just help and just talk around that idea? Just, it feels like that would be a lovely way to kind of wind this talk up, Frances. Thanks.
Yeah. I think if we say, where to not to look for friendship in this world, and we're even letting go of friendship, it always implies a sacrifice. The thing is, who we are in truth has never really been in any kind of relationship with appearances. The relationship or friendship or yeah, it's always implying this body, the appearance of one body with the appearance of other bodies. In essence, who I am, this feeling of connectedness is actually what we're looking for the whole time. And we just mistaken in thinking that this connectedness can be found in some kind of continuous way of relating to a specific person. We have to see that this connectedness can only be experienced when we choose to be in alignment with the Spirit, when we choose to be in alignment with the Spirit all the time. And in that choice, we have to be willing to let go of the form and just saying, if I choose to be in alignment with the Spirit, then I allow the form to be in, presented in any way. And I trust if I'm so flexible and so open to accept what is presented to me right now, and I do not put a limitation onto the form, then this connectedness is felt. And that's what we're looking for. So in that way, if we insist on looking for the connectedness in a friend or in a relationship partner, sometimes it becomes a restriction, this kind of box and definition. That's all there is. We're not letting go of something that is valuable. We truly are letting go of something that has no value. We're letting go of a box and a restriction, and instead open up to this true source that can give us this connectedness. So that is the talk about friendship.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I do just want to say that just thank you for being so available to just so willing to really to share the Spirit. That's what it feels like. I just feel your just absolute devotion to the truth, and I so appreciate your time. Your clarity is just, and it feels like these talks are always so deep. So thank you, Frances. Just a joy to be with you again.
Oh, thank you. It's my joy, absolute joy. Thank you so much, Colin.
Bye for now.